We're going to be doing this video on mini nostalgia. These are the HW rules. You can look them up yourself if you like. The important things to note from this is that medium roads, strong monsters, and this part right here. Um, and the main thing about that is picking your AI factions. Um, so we're going to take a look at the um, template editor. So we will discuss when we start looking at the templates, but you can see here there are 15 zones. There are 3 players, or sorry, eight eight players here. This is you and your opponent, and then each AI player, and then behind each AI player there is a treasure zone um, that has a uh, expansion in it. And then there's also one more treasure zone. Alright, we're going to start looking at some of these templates here. This one right here, I had picked Rampart, and then the expansions on this one were Dungeon, Cove, and nope, that wasn't me. The other one's Underground, I think. Yeah, and Inferno. And then they had Rampart as their, and then they had Castle, Tower, and uh, Fortress. So this is a fairly simple template in some ways, but uh, it's also complicated. Like some of the other templates that I've done videos on, the Diamond and the H3DM1 control is very important on this template. The one thing about this template is it's a little bit easier to get than, say, a Diamond or something. Well, I guess, I don't know. There are AI plays in Diamond as well. Maybe more like H3, because you have these AI players that you're eliminating. And I would say actually it is easier than Diamond because you're eliminating the AI players earlier than you are in Diamond on this template. Um, but anyway, so basically, the idea is to expand into an AI player. The thing about expanding in this is also to keep in mind that, unlike Diamond, every zone that you break into on this template is going to have an AI player in it. So you probably want to tackle those one at a time to avoid having an AI player try to take your main city or take your mines, kill your scout heroes, cause you economic damage. That's not really what you want. You really want to deal with the AI player, kill their main hero quickly, take their base quickly. And the thing about that is sometimes what I've noticed is that it's hard to find a AI player's last hero, and I found that if you try to commit too much time to finding them, you're gonna just lose many turns where you're not really accomplishing anything, and that's definitely not what you want. So ideally, you want to leave some sort of guards in the expansion, and then probably get a citadel so that their last hero comes and fights it when they're ready to, and they just die. Ideally, and sometimes they might steal a scout from you, which it's unfortunate, but it can happen. Now, there's one element of this map that is like Jeebus Cross, and I'm going to go talk about that now. There's a treasure zone. In this case, it is guarded by pit lords and then Nagas. This is a pretty easy block. Some of them can be a lot harder than that. And unlike Jeebus Cross, since it is an underground that you're trying to get into, it is uh, 2 guards instead of 1. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is that there are other treasure zones on this map. There's 6 additional treasure zones, and then this is the 7th one. Now, what makes this one special is that this one has a direct path between you and your opponent, which I think this is maybe the only available path. Maybe not. You might be able to get to them through underground or something. Actually, I don't think it is. I think you can get them through other things, but it's the most direct route to your opponent, and there is a treasure zone in between it, so that's good too because you want to farm that. Now, the map editor said that they're all the same, but one thing that is different is that the center one is more spread out. Although, to be honest with you, all underground treasure zones are pretty far spread out. This one just goes like really far. I don't know if that's the case with every single generation, but let's take a look at the other one here. We've got this one. Let's see. So the treasure zone would be. Hold on a second. Um, treasure zone is here. Hmm. That's interesting. And this one, blue is underground. So they actually have an underground guard to the treasure zone, um, which can happen if you pick races that can start underground. You can start underground as player. I think you can start as red as well. I'm pretty sure you can. Um, okay, so and we're gonna look at some guards. Now, the guards on from your biome to the other players are generally easy. So there's one. There's one. There's one. You'll have access to all three of the AI players which you picked for yourself during the picking phase. Well, I guess it's not picking phase, but it's like after you pick all your heroes and pay bid gold and all that. Then you pick the AI players. And I don't know if it specifically says it, but in interest of fairness, if I were playing this template, I would say that blue. Um, well, I guess yeah. Well, I guess it depends. Hmm. I don't know. I guess that's a good point. Maybe I would let blue pick first. I'm not sure. It depends on whether you value being red or more or not. Which I feel like being red on this template is just as important as on any other template. It's still pretty important. So yeah, I would probably say that I would let blue get their choice of secondary um, of their AI players. So that's the thing to keep in mind is that now I don't know exactly how it's done. If you if you do it like normal, where you ban two factions and then do a random versus random, I would probably just put the remaining six factions in that would be what you would pick from. But if you did it by elimination in the beginning, then maybe you could do any of the remaining races, which would be a lot more powerful if you did it that way, because then you could first pick a conflux or dungeon and get a pretty good advantage on that. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, as far as the fights go, these fights are really not going to be any different than Jeebus fights on a lot of this stuff. So let's just look at like maybe where you could go here. So obviously you can go into any this one, or this one fairly easily, and you're not going to have any issues with that. Um, I guess is this actually the block? This is actually the block. So these zones they're not super rich. I mean, they're just basically the same. They have all the same identical stuff as the starting biomes, which there are some artifacts. There's going to be some banks, and sometimes there are some kind of nice things that appear, just like they would on Jeebus Cross. Although this is not nearly as rich of a template as Jeebus Cross, and you have to juggle economy now. Now, one more note about this template. I have seen it happen in a game that I played versus the AI, and I've seen it happen in games versus real people. But grails on this map are pretty real, and sometimes the AI player is really good at finding grails, and they'll get it really fast, and you'll conquer them, and you'll get a grail, and that's pretty much just a win. If you, especially if it's early enough, it's gonna be really hard for your opponent to come back if you've got a grail in the first 2 weeks of this game because one of the AI players picked it up. Now, also, if you're really good at finding grails, this is another good map for that, and you might be able to pull that off, and some people do. Um, now, so this is like a treasure zone. All the treasure zones are supposed to be um, identical, but that doesn't mean they're actually going to be identical in reality. I mean, obviously some of them are going to have much better artifacts than others, but you will generally see a lot of Dragon Utopias on this map. So that's one of the big things to keep in mind is that you might be able to get through a game of Jeebus without doing a Utopia, but you're definitely not going to get through a game of Nostalgia without doing a Utopia. You better be able to take those. So that being said, some of the creature banks are a little bit spread out. So That's so another thing to keep in mind is that I did say earlier that control is important on this, but I would say that Dimension Door is even more important than Town Portal. Although I don't know, they're both extremely important on this template. You really need both of them, and the Dimension Door will help you get to some of these further objectives here if you need to get them, which chances are you might need to get to one or two of them. And um, the other thing is pathfinding is also probably better on this template than it might be on a lot of other templates because of the great distances that you might have to go to do some chaining in some of these underground areas that you're gonna need to farm good stuff out of. Like if you're trying to get these boots here, that's gonna be pretty hard, but you're gonna want to get them, right? So, and especially because you have to come in through behind here, come all the way over here. Like that's just so much ground to travel, And there's a picket here. Jesus, there's two boots. That's crazy. Um, I don't think I've ever seen that before, where there's actually two of the same artifact that close to each other. I mean, I guess it's just RNG. There are a ton of artifacts on this map. Yeah, so that's the main thing. I think if you want to practice this template, I would practice fighting the AI early on it because you're going to have to learn how to do that quickly. And if you're only familiar with the Jeebus Cross, that may take a little bit because it is definitely a little bit different. Try not to overcommit to one of these areas because you got to move between them quickly. But at the same time, you don't want to have their heroes coming out and killing your stuff. So you want to kill as much of them as you can, but don't waste too much time chasing them down. Um, but make sure that you can clean them up as well because that's the thing. So you got a lot of stuff to think about on this map, and if you open too many zones too quickly and don't kill the players in them fast enough, you're gonna have a whole world of trouble. Um, so all right, so we're gonna go on to the day one here. I decided to do Valeska just because she's pretty easy to play. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to say about this. I have actually played a game of Mini Nostalgia all the way through, but it was a long time ago. I definitely did not play it very well, but I still won, so. And I actually won that game by getting an Earth Book and some other good stat artifacts in one of the side biomes. And then I also farmed the center biome before my opponent did. Ooh. I'm not gonna take that with her. That's good. That's very good. We want this guy for sure. That might have been too much. I don't know. I'm super greedy. I want all those archers now. It's probably a mistake, but it doesn't really matter that much. Let's see. What's gonna be the best way to get gold? Probably here. Hmm. Nice artifact as well. Okay. Um, 4 heroes is not the greatest, but it's not the worst. I would say between 4 and 6 heroes you can think about keeping. Um, we haven't seen any blocks yet. That's not great. Honestly, I would probably 1-1-1 this, even though, well, I don't know. Maybe not. I mean, I think I probably got too greedy by buying the archers, but it wouldn't have been enough to buy another hero. I guess maybe I could have gotten this stack of gold and maybe could have gotten one, but it's still questionable. There wasn't any banks that we could do. I probably should have scouted a little bit more. But it's not a terrible first turn. We at least have found the mines. We have a really nice army. We have pretty decent heroes. We got Bless. Um, Although the biggest thing is we didn't see any of the blocks. We didn't see our treasure block, which is kind of, I think, important. It's not as important as it is on Jeebus Cross, but it is still, it's pretty close to as important, I would say. It is give you the extra treasure zone that your opponent wouldn't be able to get to. But that's turn one, and hopefully this helps you guys if you guys want to try to play this template.